Welcome back to the Michigan Sports Media Network, and we are live, as always, every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can join us for an hour or so, a little bit of sports talk. Of course, we have the Tigers, we have the Pistons, and we have the Lions today. The Red Wings, not too much to talk about. They're in the NHL dead season right now. So, with that being said, we are going to start this thing off, as always, with some Tigers talk. And James is going to give us a bit of a Tigers update because these boys are hot. They're super hot fire right now, guys. Like, them Tigers are not playing. First in the AL. That Javi Baez walk off was insane the other night. That a lot of people have talked about that as one of their favorite Tigers moments in recent memory, if not, ever. So, with that being said, I will pass it over to you for our Tigers update.
Thanks, Chase. As you mentioned, Baez, Tigers as a whole are hot, but Baez especially is leading that charge. He is the team leader in batting average, and he had not only the game-winning home run last night, he had an additional home run in the sixth inning. Both of them were three-run shots. So just last game alone, he had two home runs, six RBIs, and a Tigers come from behind victory 10-9 over the Boston Red Sox, who are by no means a slouch of a team themselves. We went into extras, and in each the 10th and the 11th, Boston scored. So we had to follow suit, and we did. It was one of AJ Hinch's pitching chaos games in terms of no starting pitcher. It was just a bullpen day. Some people call it an opener. We used, let's see here, seven total pitchers, and no one pitched more than three innings. So everyone just kind of a true team effort by every definition of the word. We used pinch hitters, and you know, a complete roster effort, obviously spearheaded by Baez. Um, I would be slightly contradicting myself if I did not stand up for Torkelson as well, who also had a home run yet again yesterday, his 11th on the season. So as much as Bias is hot, and he had two last night, counting those two, he has five on the year. Torkelson now has 11. So as hot as Bias is in terms of the power numbers, it's still torqued by a wide margin on this team. But overall, in totality, Bias is a different person. I don't know if I mean he sure as hell physically looks like Baez, but I would I would start maybe the speculation on some kind of body snatcher scenario because this guy is nothing like what he was the last two or three seasons for us. He was a guy that I am comfortable saying 75 to 80% of the fan base wanted us to buy out his contract. And when he picked up his player option, including myself, most people were upset. He has not been playing up to his contract level. He's kind of been arguably one of the worst contracts in all of baseball before this season. And then this season, I saw someone post on X after the game last night that is he potentially underpaid after not quote unquote not earning his keep the first couple years. Now it's like, well, this version, if we can get this guy for the duration of the season, he's playing better than what his contract says. So he is making up for some lost time here. But I I struggle to say like, is this sustainable? Because it is past that 40 game magic number mark that I brought up last podcast. And I mean, so far so good. 40 plus games, he's still on it. Um, I don't know if I need to tip my cap to the hitting coach or what exactly clicked. Maybe I do not know. Maybe he saw a sports psychologist or something because he's had ability, and that's why we gave him the contract we gave him. Like the guy is talented, he just wasn't consistent. And thankfully, for some reason, right now he is consistent. So if this is a sign of things to come, I mean, I'm all for it, and I think everyone would be. Um, he damn, I'm looking at this box score. He filled it out completely. 3 runs, 2 hits being a home run, 6 RBIs. He even had a walk. The number one thing he had to work on in his plate approach was his pitch selection. He was swinging literally at a comedic level of balls outside the strike zone. I even seen like photoshopped memes of him swinging at like horrendous first pitches that like almost went into the crowd and stuff. Because that's how bad his pitch selection was. But like I said, this year it's not a contract year. Like he picked up his option and he's already on the he's up for at least two, I want to say, but I'm leaning towards 3 years left on his deal. So I mean, he's playing like a man who's trying to earn another contract, but other than um, like I said, excelling this season, we'll see if it lasts. But we have hit that um 40 game mark, and he is on a tear. I know that's talking in a circle, but I can't wrap my head around it. So I need to kind of circle in here to see while I'm talking if I'm just like, oh, well, you know what? This kind of maybe clicked for him, and I can't put my finger on it. I'm happy as hell that it did. Um, in terms of RBIs, he had 6 yesterday, brings him up to 27 on the season. Torkelson is 34. So in terms of the power numbers and production, Torque is still number one, but Hayes is catching him quickly. And like I said, with his versatility, because he was coming into the season or starting shortstop, and now he's playing center field due to injuries, which he did say he did play in high school. So he's at least somewhat familiar, but I mean, that was probably 10 years ago for him. So I'm not going to act like it's not a point in the story, at least. We have some guys like Matt Vierling who are starting to make their return and their rehab starts. And if you asked me a week ago when Vierling comes back, I'll be like, yeah, he goes in the center, no problem. Baez, goes short or third, we'll figure it out. But at this point in time, he's playing plus defensively and A plus offensively. I don't know if we should rock that boat. I wouldn't make a change just to make a change. Veerling's worth getting some starts and stuff, but maybe we can move Green to DH and move Veerling to left field or do something with right field with McKinstry, even though McKinstry's kind of a jack of all trades as well. But I would personally would not mess with Baez. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Let him do his thing. He is as hot as ever, and I just would not touch that. Other than the resurgence of Baez, the only other thing at the moment I want to talk about with the Tigers is they did just today send down Jace Young, who prior to being called up was destroying the minor leagues, but he has been, I'll be polite and just say abysmal at the major league level. He's only batting 111. And to be somewhat fair to him, he did have a crucial single in the extra innings, the at bat before Baez hit the game winning home run. So, I mean, he did contribute to that win, but in terms of his totality of production, it has not been there at the major league level. So the Tigers sent him down. We called up Akil Baddoo, which if you are a Tigers fan, he's been up and down through our team for several years now. He's been a part of the Tigers organization since 2021. So no one who watches the Tigers is a stranger. I don't have to really tell you what he offers the team. I'm going to try not to drag out this Tigers portion in this podcast as a whole. People know who he is. And if you don't by now, then you aren't watching and you won't care about this part of the segment anyways. So he'll come back. He's good, not great. I would say he's average. He's adequate. Very fast base runner, average fielding, average bat. He was only hitting 250s in the minors, but that's still better than the 111 that Chase Young was hitting. And with that being said, and to end me from ranting anymore, I will send that back to you with the Tigers update.
Yeah, for sure. Great stuff there with the Tigers. Back to your Torkelson thing. Yeah, earlier with this podcast, before the season, there was a little bit of hate coming, and it wasn't from you. It was from our former co-host, and it was warranted. It made sense. The number one pick. Like, there's a lot of reasons that you would be upset with him. Now, he's playing MVP level. Like, I mean, I've seen a lot of people, on Twitter talking about Torque as if he could, not necessarily the leader for the MVP, but he could definitely be in that conversation right now. And with the Baez stuff, obviously it's always great when you pay for a guy and then he outplays his contract. And obviously we had a little bit where he was underplaying it. So hopefully he can, keep on that trajectory, because if not, we might have, spent 1 year of that contract on nothing. So, at the end of the day, the Tigers are playing great. They're doing their thing. I am hoping to get to a game, man, because the last game I went to was rained out, and that was very unfortunate. And now the tickets are going up. So it's like, shit, all right, time to go now if you're going to go at all. But with that being said, if you want a Torkelson jersey, a Detroit Tigers hat, a shirt jersey, if you want something with Baez on it, whatever the case may be, Fanatics is your place, okay? They sponsor the show. They help us out. We will have a link in the description. If you click that link and you make a purchase, we will get a little percentage of that purchase. So that would be a huge help to us, just in general, kind of keep the show going. As we all know, the more money, the better this show is going to get. So the more help you give us, the better this show will be in terms of production and things like that. So moving on, we have another sponsor. We have a new sponsor for the show. First thing, appreciate you guys for taking us and making us part of your team. We have a sponsor that isn't necessarily sports related, but I think would make a lot of sense for, anybody who just really likes snacks. We are partnering with a place called Try the World. Again, a link will be in the description there. But essentially what they do is they have a subscription service, or you can just get one box if you'd like. But the idea is, you've never been to France, right? If, let's say you've never been to France, you've always wanted to go. Let's say you wanted to always try the snacks and the food and the drinks, whatever the case. You go on Try the World, you pick a box. The size, differs or depends on the price. Or the price depends on the size. You pick a box, they will ship you snacks from anywhere in the world, hence the name Try the World. So like I said before, link will be in the description on that one, and that could be a lot of fun. So check them out. With that being said, we will move on now to the Detroit Pistons segment of the show, which isn't really going to be a Pistons segment as much as it is an NBA segment, because what the fuck? What the fuck, man? I'm sorry, but like, I thought the Luka trade was rigged before, and now I'm sitting here and it's like, all right, I see what happened. They said, hey man, Nico, if you trade Luka to LA and save the NBA's ratings, what we'll do is we'll turn around and gift you the best prospect outside of Wembanyama that we've seen in a long, long time. So Nico got totally ripped apart, I guess is the best way to say it, all season since it happened, and now he gets to kind of have the last laugh, which, it's luck, buddy. You got lucky. Let's be real here. You were trying to make the playoffs, so let's think what would have happened if they made the playoffs. You know what I mean? They were getting definitely not Cooper Flag, I can tell you that much. But just an absolute insane way for this to go. Like, and a lot of people are like, this proves that the NBA is rigged. This proves that, and it's like, well, I don't know if it proves it. I think, if anything, we live in a simulation. All right, that's what I think it proves. It's like, what is going on here? We saw LeBron go to the Cavs when he's from Cleveland. We saw, or Akron, same difference. We saw Derrick Rose go to Chicago as a Chicago native. We saw Victor Wembanyama go to San Antonio right when they needed an infusion. Now, all I'm going to say is, fuck. Okay? As someone who talks shit about the Mavs decisions all season, I have to eat a little bit of crow simply because they got lucky, and that pisses me off, okay? I'm going to just leave it at that. All right. Now, moving on to the next conversation point here for the Pistons. They did get some picks. And while it wasn't the number one pick, of course, because we are, not the worst team in the NBA again, um, they ended up with, let's see, shoot. Well, my page is not loading now. They did not get their first round pick because it was sent to Minnesota. So I think it's the 37th. Yeah, 37th pick is the first pick that the Pistons have in this draft, which I'll be honest is not great. Not a lot you can do with that. The NBA is one of those situations where, like the NFL, second round pick is high value. It's good talent. You could get a starter at that pick. The NBA, not really. Like most of those second round picks don't even make the freaking roster at the end of the year. So that's really not going to help us too much. I mean, we've seen things happen with second round picks, but my assumption would be if we do end up picking there, he probably won't even play on the game day roster. He'll be on the G League throughout the season. So not really a help there. However, it gives us a little bit of something to work with. I mean, it's not a big, value piece or anything like that, but it's a high second at least. So maybe you could, throw that in a trade and try to make something happen. As we all know, the Pistons are, not too far away, but a decent amount away from winning a championship right now. So if I were them, I would probably just stick and pick unless they can, just use that in a trade to make the values a little bit better. Again, it's not a needle mover by any means whatsoever. So with that being said, let's talk about the rest of the NBA draft real quick because there's actually some pretty, I don't know if you want to say cool or wild things happening here. Let's just talk about the top five picks. Dallas, San Antonio, Philly, Charlotte, Utah. That's the top five. Who would have thought that the three worst teams in the NBA this year were going to pick 4, 5, and 6? Absolutely brutal for the fans of those teams. I mean, could you imagine if when the Lions went 0-16, if we picked like fourth? It'd be like, you did what? Like, what the fuck happened? And speaking of that, they're talking about an NFL lottery. I don't know who's talking about it, if it matters, but the birds are chirping. That's all I know, okay? Now, we'll talk about that a little bit more later when we get to the NFL segment, but just wanted to put that in there for your brain because, whoa, Nelly, let's hold up, okay? Because I am not with that shit, all right? But if we do, I got an idea that you might like, so wait till later when we get to that. And then, to kind of wrap this up, the NBA segment of the show, San Antonio with the second overall pick, there's a lot of rumors that they're going to try to go get Giannis, which I think makes a lot of sense. I think he does fit well next to Victor Wembanyama because Victor Wembanyama can shoot, which kind of changes the dynamic there. I think I'd use Giannis as our like center type. Obviously, Victor's going to be he's going to be guarding the other team's center, but on offense, I mean, I would have Giannis as our like paint roamer. You use him and Victor in a lot of different ways, which I think would be really cool. And then you got De'Aaron Fox as well coming, as their point guard. So I think that team would be damn good. And with the second overall pick, I'm not so sure that Milwaukee is going to ask for a king's ransom, for Giannis. I think, the second overall pick, Devin Vassell, and, maybe another young player or two could probably get that trade done, unless obviously they get another better deal. But I don't know. Giannis, he's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He's a top 5 player in the NBA. We've had that conversation on here before. But at this point in his career, he can't shoot. He's 30, going to be 31 by the end of this year. I don't know if I'm giving up my future for him. Now, if you're the Spurs and you think he's the difference between the difference maker to get you a championship, I guess pull that trigger because that's not too bad. And then we also have, of course, Philly at 3. I think they'll probably stick and pick. I don't know if they do trade. It'll probably be a trade involving Paul George. At least I would hope. I would hope they do like and maybe they trade with Milwaukee. I mean, maybe Milwaukee would prefer to have a guy like Paul George over a guy like Devin Vassell. I mean, that might make some sense. You got Damian Lillard there. I don't know if I'd do that, but there's definitely potential of that happening. And then to kind of wrap this up, we have had a lot of rumors lately about Zion to Detroit, which, look, man, I don't hate it, okay? I think as long as we don't have to give up a lot for him, I'm totally fine. The trade thing that I saw the other day, though, was too much. It was like 2 first-rounders, Tobias Harris, Jaden Ivey, and somebody else. That's too much, I think, for Zion, simply because, yeah, he could be a top 15 player in the NBA, but he doesn't play more than 50 games. Like, you can't rely on him to be your second option when he's not even on the fucking court, okay? Like, that's where we're at right now, is like, this would be, if we were playing 2K with injuries off, buddy, oh, I'm making this happen. You know what I'm saying? It makes a lot of sense. It's a great fit, I think. Like, he could play the power forward, the small forward, or the small ball center for us if we wanted him to. I mean, he's versatile. He can shoot. I mean, obviously, he's a fucking crazy athlete. And at this point in his career, his weight hasn't really been an issue. I mean, when he plays, guys, he is up there. I don't know if I would say he's elite yet, but man, is he good, okay? And him and Cade together would be, oh, the pick and rolls. Oh my God. And then the lobs. Oh shit. That would be pure cinema in Motor City, okay? And I'm cool with that, but the injuries, you never know. Those are always a possibility there. And then with that being said, that's really all I got for the NBA today. James, if you have anything to add.
Not necessarily. I heard I want to say Giannis, not Giannis. Um, oh my gosh, I just had a whole brain fart. Center from New York.
Oh, Karl Anthony
Um,
Towns.
I'm sorry, it used to be New York. Um, no, I'm just seeing blue. Sorry, Pelicans. Jesus. Um,
Zion?
Zion. Yes.
Oh.
Wow. Like I said, I'm like, you were just talking about me. Old person moment. All right. I've seen Zion talk for literally like 2 years, linking him somehow to the Pistons. And every time I've ever seen any rumor, obviously there's always fans and analysts that'll be like, oh, this would get it done. And it's some kind of mock trade that is like 90% of our young roster and like 4 first round picks for, like you said, a guy that plays 50 games. I just laugh at it. Like if he was a free agent or something, like yeah, I'd offer him a contract, stuff like that. But I saw, I don't know who it was, but I saw someone mention like Ron Holland, Ivy, like 4 first. I'm just like, no, like just stop. Even without the first, I wouldn't trade those two. I wouldn't trade Holland and Ivy alone for him straight up because the guy doesn't play. He's on the sidelines almost as often as he's on the court. But yeah, and then in terms of you know what, I'll talk about the lottery stuff when we talk NFL because that has been a hot button issue for me personally on X these last couple of days. So we can talk about that when we get onto that unit. So I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, and a lot of people too, the thing with Zion in the trade is in general with trades on Pistons Twitter, a lot of people seem to not realize you have to match salaries. I mean, maybe run it through a fucking trade generator before you post it on Twitter. That's all I'm saying, guys. Like, it's not that hard. Type NBA trade machine, click the fucking first one that pops up. It doesn't matter which one, they're all going to have the salary cap. Then you go, okay, let's add these players. Let's add these players. Does it work? Yes or no? Okay, because like you said, I've seen people say Jaden Ivey, Ron Holland, and 4 firsts. You can't even fucking do that. So that couldn't happen because he's getting $40 million a year, and those guys combined are getting like 15, 20, something like that. So just keep that in mind, guys, when you're doing all these trades and shit. Run them through a trade generator or a trade machine. It works way better that way. And then the last thing, speaking of trade machines, the last thing I wanted to talk about, I totally forgot, was Kevin Durant. Okay, call me crazy. I think Denver should make the move. Okay, I think Denver should trade for Kevin Durant simply because I don't think it'll take that much because he's on a 1 year deal. Number one. Number two, I think Phoenix doesn't want to reset; they want to retool, right? And I think trading Kevin Durant for two, maybe three starter level players would be a big help for Phoenix. Now, what starter level players are we talking about? Mainly Aaron Gordon and MPJ. Okay, because I feel like MPJ would be a good Michael Porter Jr. If you don't know who I'm talking about, I feel like you should. But MPJ is a good shooter. He's a good offensive talent. He's a solid scorer. Obviously, he's up and down. But then you get Aaron Gordon, which MPJ is still young. I feel like if as long as he can keep his 3-point shot going, that'll be a good option for them. He is a little overpaid, but he's still young. You never know. He could grow into his potential in Denver. I mean, shit, we saw Quentin Grimes get traded from Dallas, and he was a role player his whole career, and then he's averaging 30 in Philly. I don't even know how the fuck that happened, but it did. So I could see that with MPJ going over to Phoenix with Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. I mean, think about that, guys. Like, as the third option, as a spot-up shooter, I like it, personally. Then you get Aaron Gordon as well, starting power forward, defensive beast. He's going to be your lob threat. He's going to play your dunker spot perfectly. I mean, he can play the 3, the 4, and the small ball 5. I mean, think about it. Now, if you're Phoenix, right, your lineup, at least your starting 4, because they still do need a center at this point, your starting 4 would be Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, MPJ, Aaron Gordon. I mean, I don't know. That sounds like a playoff team as long as they can get a center who's worth a shit and, some depth there. I mean, I think they'd be okay. Now, Denver makes this trade simply because they need to. They just do. I mean, if they don't want to waste the best player in the NBA, Nikola Jokic, they don't want to waste him. They need to make this move. Now, I know Kevin Durant's old. He's on a 1 year deal. This doesn't really set them back. If anything, it fucking helps him, okay? Because here's the problem. MPJ's contract is dog shit, all right? It's terrible. He's making like $38 million a year. The only reason he's still there, from rumors I've heard, is that the owners are Missouri alum, and he went there. I don't know how true that is, but that'd be fucking crazy if that's the case. But getting rid of his contract, Aaron Gordon's making like $25 million a year as well. So they basically get rid of those two contracts, get a superstar player on a 1 year deal, and then if it doesn't work out, you now have $50-some million in cap space to work with in free agency in the biggest free agent market we've seen in years. Just saying, Denver, hire me. All right, that's all I'm saying. No. But anyway, so wrapping that up, I think Phoenix should trade Kevin Durant to Denver. But with that being said, we will move on to our NFL talk, which, we have some, but not a ton. We're going to start with the Lions, per the usual. Now, before we get to the schedule, because that is obviously happening, an hour and a half, the official schedule will be out. The unofficial or leaked schedule has been out for a few hours now, so we'll go over that in a second. But before we do, I just want to hit on a few things from the press conferences recently. John Morton, the new offensive coordinator, obviously he had a press conference, a pretty long one as well. But to save time, we're not going to hit on everything. We're really just going to keep it to... He said J-Mo is going to hit another gear, okay? Now, if there's another gear to hit, beautiful. Beautiful. I don't know if there is. I don't know what he means by that. Because J-Mo's production, I don't think, was a J-Mo thing. You know what I mean? Like, that was a scheme thing. So, does that mean we are going to be using J-Mo more of a legit... number one receiver? And obviously Amon-Ra is our number one guy, but he's our slot guy. So are we going to be using J-Mo like a legit elite wide receiver? Because that'd be fucking sweet. I'd love to see what he can do in that, with that, opportunity. I mean, I think we've talked about it on here. A lot of people, I guess, think I'm a JMO hater for some of the things I've said. I love the guy. I think he's a great player. It's just one of those things when the trade rumors were going around. It's like I kind of get it. Now, I'm glad we kept him, don't get me wrong, and he's an amazing piece of this offense. So I'm excited to see how he can be used a little differently than Ben Johnson did, and that might help his production and maybe just help him as a player going forward. He also mentioned that the offense will be a lot of the same. I mean, why change it? He was here with Ben, and it just makes a lot of sense. Keep pretty much everything the same. Obviously, he's going to inject his own little juice into it, but it's going to be pretty similar to what we saw last year, which is honestly a breath of fresh air for me because the last thing you want is some guy. I mean, you mentioned it before. Why, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? Why bring something new in when what we had last year was an elite offense? And then our new tight ends coach said he's bringing a new style of grit to Detroit, being from what is he? I think he's from North Dakota because he coached at North Dakota State. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he is from North Dakota. But he mentioned he was delivering newspapers in negative degrees when he was a kid, and all these different things that he is bringing a new toughness to the Lions, but specifically our tight end room. So it sounds to me that might be a reason why we were bringing all these new tight ends in, because I think we're just looking for new backups, really, because we want guys who can block, they're physical, they're athletic, and I mean, obviously that's what everybody wants in tight ends, but it seems like we're going to kind of tweak, not change, but tweak what we want out of a tight end, which I think is a good thing because, I mean, wanting a guy to be more physical in a game like football is never a bad idea. Just saying. Now, last but not least, some O-line stuff that's been going on. Tate Ratledge has been playing center in rookie minicamp, which I think is pretty fucking funny, okay? Because when he was drafted, we all said it, he played right guard his whole career. He doesn't offer a lot of versatility with that, because we figured, at least I figured, Miles Frazier was the guy we brought in to be our more versatile. He might play center, he'll play tackle, he'll play guard. He's still going to be that, don't get me wrong, but it seems like Ratledge is the guy we're kind of grooming to take over for Ragnow when he's gone. Now, is that for sure? No, I think Fraley's just seeing what he's got and seeing what would happen, like, per se, let's say, knock on wood, Ragnow goes down. Maybe it would be better to move Ratledge to center and move Glasgow to right guard than move Glasgow to center. Who knows? That'd be my guess more, is that he's probably just seeing what he's got and trying to figure out depth and stuff because it is rookie minicamp. So it just makes sense to do that now. And last but not least, Giovanni Manu has been kind of the talk of the town a little bit recently. He is a football player, per the words of many Lions coaches. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know if he's going to play. I don't know where he's going to play. But a lot of people are pretty excited to see him play. Sounds like he might be that Dan Skipper guy this year, is what I would guess. I know we brought Skipper back, but my guess would be Manu is probably going to be that sixth lineman a lot of the time. At least that's what I would do, because we're in year, 2 now? Yeah, year 2 of him being on an NFL roster, having a full off season. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes, but, it is what it is with that. A lot of people are mad about the pick. I'm not that mad because his upside is there. But with that being said, I will pass it over to you, as I'm sure you've got some thoughts on these comments.
Oh yeah, I just want to start off with Lions tight end coach Tyler. I'm going to destroy your last name. Roll, I think is how you pronounce that. Um, he's tried and true North Dakota, born in North Dakota, college went to North Dakota State, and then coached at North Dakota State. So yeah, and then he was a assistant head coach and running back coach at Iowa State for just 1 year, and now he's our tight ends coach. I had to look that up real quick. And before you mentioned anything about that, I did see the quote, but I did not know his name, so it took me a minute to find that. But as you said, in terms of his comments, I'll just stay on him since I'm talking about him. As you said, whenever you tell, especially a physical position like tight end, besides O line and D line might be the most physical. It's kind of, yeah, sure, I'll go with that. I started it. It's kind of like the linebacker of the offense. It's kind of just a hybrid. Sometimes you cover, sometimes you blitz, and tight ends. Sometimes you pass block, sometimes you run block, sometimes you run your routes. Not every tight end out there is a Kelsey or a Jimmy Graham and all those, or God forbid, Eric Ebron. And so it's always nice to hear, especially in Detroit, where uh, iron sharpens iron. So we're all about that grit. It's not just a slogan. I had, I think it was a Packers fan on X the other day, just saying like, no matter who's on your team, you're just going to say they're full of grit. And I'm like, not necessarily, but at the same time, I don't think Campbell or Holmes would add someone to the roster that doesn't have grit. Like there's no room for soft players here. We play a physical brand of football. Um, Obviously, the Honolulu flu was a thing for a reason last year with the layoffs and whatnot. So, teach their own, but I definitely believe in that. And then your comments about JMO and just JMO as a whole, because you are not as high on JMO as me. However, I'm higher on JMO than most people. So, I mean, that's not a knock against you or anything. I definitely think he has another year to give. And I do think it's because of scheme. I don't think it's anything that JMO himself really has to do. I think we just need to call his number more often in the huddle and be like, hey man, this one's going to you, or at least the first option if he's not open, you go through your progressions and all that. But I said it since day one. JMO, in my opinion, has the highest ceiling of all the players on the Lions offense, in my opinion. He has a speed that I don't want to say can't be matched because Gibbs is damn close. And I know we've had that debate before. And he just has it. It's the it factor. It's the eye test. It's the versatility between the end arounds plus it doesn't even have to be the bombs. Like everyone loves and everyone always, when you think of JMO, probably thinks of some of the Hail Marys and some of the big plays. But he can easily take just a 5 yard slant of distance. Like we can start with the ball at I don't even care our own 25. I almost said 20, but it hasn't been a touchback for a couple of years. Um, and he can just go the distance on a 5 yard route. He doesn't have to go deep to make the big play. He can just make people miss and just do his thing. And I think his ceiling, and I know I'm going to fluster some people with this, uh, I think his ceiling is I won't say significantly higher, but I will say, in my opinion, is higher than St. Brown's. They are different types of receivers. They like, don't get me wrong, St. Brown's better for all intents and purposes. But um, something I don't know if I brought it up on any of the podcasts yet, but something I bring up with my coworkers all the time is the oh shit factor. I want players that have a defensive coordinator, since we're talking offense, a defensive coordinator saying, oh shit, blank is coming to town. What are we going to do to stop him? St. Brown's a beast, as we all know. He can do anything you ask. If beyond good run blocking, pass catching, slot, shifty, blah, blah, blah. I can talk about him for a while. I don't know if he's that oh shit guy. Because don't get me wrong, he can easily take over a game. But I feel like JMO's the one that you have a game plan for because you can't single him. You can't not have a safety over the top. I mean, I guess you could, but then good luck. But I feel like JMO is that that puzzle that is harder to solve. In terms of like the more home run threat. And if you put too many resources on him, if you have like the safety going over the top or you have a light box, then we can just audible and run it down your throat with Montgomery and Gibbs. And if you want to load up the box to take care of our two-headed giant of running backs, then we can just hit him deep, St. Brown over the middle, Laporta, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Before I even mentioned Tesla. And I mean, it's a good problem to have. And I do think JMO has that another gear in him. Um, with that, I will shift my point onto Morton, our new offensive coordinator, because like you said, and like he said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. We have an elite offense. Um, Obviously, some things are going to change. He's like the language, the audible calls, all that's going to change. I saw someone complaining that if we don't change the playbook completely, then when we play the Bears, Ben Johnson's going to know what we're doing. Um, I feel like they're going to change it enough for that. And if they don't, to be honest, I don't think the Bears defense has enough pieces to compete with us. I think their offense does. I think it could be a high scoring game, but I don't think their defense can compete with us, at least as is. Um, so yeah, I don't have too much of a problem with what he said with that, but I did see some critics on that. Um, and then in terms of Rutledge at center, that is surprising to me, and I don't per se know what to make of it, to be honest. He, in my opinion, is just a plug and play right guard. I'm not gonna think overthink it and put too much stock into it because, like you said, it's just a rookie mini camp. This isn't even like a regular training camp. The vets aren't there, so you're not going to have like Ragnall's not even there, obviously, because it's rookie mini camp. So we'll see what happens. Maybe he's just getting his feet wet in case Ragnow goes down. As you mentioned, he hasn't been dealing with that toe injury for quite some time. Maybe he is the protege and he'll take over after, but um, I trust in Hank fairly, and we'll see what happens. Maybe he's just seeing what the kid has at the position, and that's that. But I was a huge Tate Ratledge fan. He was my favorite pick of the draft, at least player wise. I'm really liking Ahmed Hassanein. I saw a Rich Eisen interview with him prior to the draft. It's about a half an hour long. It's a great watch. If you guys are looking for it, it's on YouTube. Talks all about his background and him finding, literally finding football and whatnot. So I would recommend that. That is prior to the draft, though. Although one interesting tidbit I did take away from that is Rich Eisen asked him, which team have you had the most contact with throughout this part of the process? And he said the Green Bay Packers. So, I mean, we took him in the sixth, though Green Bay had several chances to take him and they didn't. So hopefully, I don't know if it's going to be quite like the St. Brown chip on your shoulder, but hopefully he gives us a little extra in those games. But he reminds me so much of the other guy you mentioned with Giovanni Manu. They're just pure raw talent, and I didn't personally mind the Manu pick. Once again, we traded up for Manu, just like we traded up for what was that Ratledge again? Up for Tesla. We took Manu in the third, and we traded up to get this like I've called him in the past, a remarkable ball of clay. I don't know where he's going to play on the line. I think he's a guard personally, but he played left tackle in his limited time at BC. So maybe he's being groomed for Decker's replacement eventually, or maybe he'll kick into guard and then kick back out. I don't know what the plan is, but there's a lot smarter people on this than me, and they will figure it out. I don't have to figure it out, so I don't got to worry about that. Um, but yeah, in terms of the things you touched on, I believe I commented on all of those because I can go on a rant, especially about the Lions. So now that I feel like I've hit my points, I will send it back to you on that one.
Yeah, and the only things I really will say about that is first of all, I don't disagree with you that JMO does have a higher ceiling than Amon Ra does, but I will disagree with you because I think Amon Ra is the oh shit guy. I think Amon Ra is the guy that actually let me rephrase that. I think JMO and Gibbs are the oh shit guys because of their big play potential and all that. But I think Amon Ra is the guy that defensive coordinators are like, I I don't know what to do. I don't know. He's just gonna fucking get open. You know what I mean? Like he's just gonna fucking get open, and you can't double him because we got JMO and Sam Laporta and fucking So I think that with JMO, and I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great player. He's very fast, but with JMO, it's like put a safety over top, and you're kind of good. I mean, if I'm being honest with you, I think that's part of why we use him as a decoy so much because it's like they have to do that. They just have to, because if you cover him one-on-one, you're fucking cooked. So like you basically have to put a safety over top to almost double him, and that opens things up for other guys. So I don't fully disagree necessarily, but just kind of my 2 cents on that. Um, and then with the Manu stuff, I think the plan when we drafted him was that Taylor Decker in 2027 will be cut and Manu will play right tackle and Sewell will play left. I think that has been the plan from the beginning, because just even Manu's like build, he doesn't have a left tackle build. Like, don't get me wrong, he's super tall, he's super long, but he's also really thick, right? And like, you want a thick guy at left tackle, but you want a little more athleticism there, in my opinion. Whereas at right tackle, that's where you want your big fucking 340, 6'6", 340. Like, that's where you want that dude at, your run blocking mauler. So, and I think Sewell obviously already played left tackle in college. He played left tackle for the Lions for quite a while, for a handful of games at least. So I do think that was always the plan. But with that being said, now we will move on to the schedule. Obviously, we're not giving any fucking predictions today, guys. I don't know if you thought we were, but we ain't. That's that. A couple weeks from now, we might be talking predictions. Okay, like, let's be real here. Now the official schedule is not even out yet, so that's part of the reason why we're not giving you any predictions. But also, it's just way too early. That's like doing a fucking 2026 mock draft. You know what I mean? It's like, let's not even waste our time. I see the look, because I'm sure.
Might have done one.
Well, we all have, but that's just how it goes. But it's like doing it and then posting it and being like, this is legitimately what I think is going to happen. You know what I mean? It's like, so anyway, the schedule is unofficially released, so some of these may be incorrect. I feel like 95% certain that all of these games are going to end up being what they say here. So just going down the list, week 1, we open the season at Green Bay. Week 2, we are at home against Chicago. Week 3, we are at Baltimore. Week 4, we are at home against Cleveland. Week 5, we are at Cincinnati. Week 6, we're at Kansas City on Sunday Night Football, so that's gonna be a great one. Because as we all know, the last time we played Kansas City on primetime, we got that dub. Week 7, we have Tampa Bay at home on Monday Night Football. That is going to be a fun game to be at, a fun game to watch. And then we have a Week 8 bye. Now, this is the first thing that I have a bit of a problem with. Why the fuck do we have a Week 8 bye, dude? Why are we getting screwed every year with our bye weeks? Our bye week last year was like Week 5 or some shit, or Week 6. Yeah, 5. So it's like, one of the best teams in the NFL, the best team in the NFC, other than Philadelphia, right? We have a Week 8 bye. A team that is probably going to go far in the playoffs has a Week 8 bye. Now, I don't even want to look at what Philadelphia's bye week is, because theirs is probably like week 12 or 13, the last few weeks that are even available to have a bye, because that's how it works, okay? Detroit versus everybody, baby. Now, moving on. Week 9, we are at home against Minnesota. Week 10, we are at Washington, which is probably going to be game of the week at 425. And that's going to be a big game because obviously they knocked us out of the playoffs last year. And then we have week 11 at Philly on Sunday Night Football. So that is oh my God. Hold on. Listen to this, guys. From week 5 to week 11 is a gauntlet, okay? Kansas City, Sunday night. Tampa Bay, Monday night. Minnesota at home. Washington at Washington. And Philly at Philly on Sunday night. That's insane. I'm sorry, but that's going to be a tough schedule. And honestly, the Week 8 bye after seeing that might help us a little bit because we need a break in between those games. And then moving on, we then play New York Giants at home Week 12, Week 13, Green Bay for Thanksgiving. Week 14, we are at home against Dallas, Thursday Night Football. So that's 3 home games in a row, which is pretty nice. Buy those Giants tickets because they'll be cheaper, just saying, and they'll probably win, just saying. And then Week 15, we are at LA probably game of the week. Week 16, we are at home against Pittsburgh, but a 4:25 p.m. start, which sucks for a home game. And then to wrap the season up, we are at Minnesota week 17 for Christmas, and to end the season, week 18 at Chicago. Now, I think the NFL did that last game on purpose, the same way they did the Minnesota game last year on purpose, because the Chicago Bears got so much better this offseason. They took our offensive coordinator, and I think what they think is that that's going to be for maybe not a playoff spot, because I think we've talked about it before. You've mentioned it many times. I think there's 3 teams, if not 4 teams, that make the playoffs out of the NFC North this year. So I could see that them being like, okay, this is going to be a big game no matter really what's going on. So like I said before, we're not going to give predictions, but a couple takeaways from that. Obviously, we have a rough schedule this year in general, but especially on the road. Like I said before, week 6 through, or actually week 5 through 11 is rough because we have Cincinnati week 5, and I know they weren't the greatest team last year, but we all know what they're capable of. We're at Baltimore, at LA, at Minnesota. So lots of rough games this year. Now, James, I'll pass it over to you if you have any quick thoughts about the schedule before we wrap this up with some draft lottery talk.
I actually don't mind the week 8 bye week. Not nearly as much as you do, at least. Um, like you said, we had a week 5 bye week last year. So we played 4 games, had a bye week, and then played 12 games. I'm like, that's obviously utter bullshit. But at least with week 8, it's 7, and then the bye week, and then 10. So it's at least more towards the middle. Um, and then for what it's worth, and obviously, as you mentioned also, nothing is official with the schedules, but I did look up what the rumors were for Philly, and Philly has a week 9 bye week, according to the rumors. So once again, that's not set in stone, but that's what's leaked, or we'll see if that's true or not here in an hour. What doesn't make me feel good is after the bye week for Philly, they play on Monday Night Football the following week, so they have even another day after that rest up. But going back to the Lions, like you said, we have a gauntlet there. We have a very tough road schedule, very tough. Um, and in most seasons, as a Lions fan, it would concern me. But fortunately for us and my mental health, it doesn't. We are a good ass team, injured or not, and those are also good ass teams. But let's see what happens. Like, I'm not afraid of the Chiefs. I'm not afraid of the Commanders, who I've been praising all off season. Not only did you beat us, I mean, we were hurt pretty bad, but we got to the playoffs injured, and you beat us fair and square in that playoff game. And they added quite a bit to their all season. I like their all season a hell of a lot, to be honest. And that's going to be a tough one. But I mean, bring it on. We'll see who's better on that particular day. I was going to say that Sunday, but I don't know when we play them. That might be a flex game, or I don't know the primetime games or whatnot yet.
That
I
one is Sunday at 4:30.
What week is that?
Week 10.
Okay, I'm like, if it's after week 8, I think after week 8 is when they can flex, but we'll see. That's in 4 or 5 months from now, so I'm not worried about that right now. But I mean, it's a matchup I look forward to. On one hand, it could be storyline wise, revenge for the playoff game, or could be confirmation. We don't know who may or may not get hurt between now and then, so I don't want to go too in depth with it. But I mean, that's going to be a game that's circled on the calendar, I feel like, for most Lions fans. And then the only other thing with the schedule that I wanted to touch on is I wanted to get your thoughts on the Lions playing on Christmas Day. This is the first year since '99 that we are playing on Thanksgiving and Christmas in the same year.
Yeah, I mean, personally, look, okay, I might get a lot of hate for what I'm about to say. They make millions of dollars I mean, I don't really care that they aren't home on Christmas one time. Like, I just don't give a fuck, honestly. Like, it doesn't bother me at all. As a viewer, I like it because, like, one of my favorite memories as a kid was Christmas Eve. So not Christmas Day, but Christmas Eve. We were at my stepdad's family's house, opening presents and stuff, and the Lions were playing on Sunday night. It was a beautiful time. They won the game. It was one of my favorite memories as a Lions fan. So on Christmas Day, I could see the same thing happen for a lot of other kids that are Lions fans right now. Obviously we play Minnesota, so it's going to be a big game. Just divisionally, it's going to be a big game for the conference, but it's also going to be a big game because it's on Christmas. So, and also the NBA, I mean, they've played on Christmas forever, so I don't feel that bad. The people I do feel a little bad for, but not a lot, is like the beat writers and the reporters and all those people that have to travel to that game because they're not just going to be gone on Christmas Day. They're probably going to be gone on Christmas Eve and the day after Christmas simply because I don't even want to know how hard it would be to fly on Christmas Day. And it's a night game. No, we have the 4:30. So it's possible they could do it, but I just don't see that happening. Now I kind of get it, but again, like I said, for the players, it doesn't really bother me that much. I mean, it sucks to miss Christmas with your family, but there's people who make $14 an hour that are missing Christmas every single year. So but I just don't want to hear it. Is pretty much all I got to say. And this is coming from somebody who works at a school, okay? I get 2 weeks off for Christmas. I get 2 weeks off for spring break. Or no, a week and a half. I get a week off for fucking this. I get summer off. So it's like, I'm not one to talk, but speaking from a place of privilege, I can say, suck it up. With that said, what are your thoughts on the Christmas Day?
I share a lot of the same thoughts you do. I had several tweets slash posts that I typed out that I said, you know what, it's just going to get nothing but hate, and I don't want the headache, so I just deleted them instead of hitting send. As I've talked about a few times on X, it feels like it was many moons ago, but 10-ish years ago, I used to be a police officer and working 12-hour shifts on Thanksgiving, working 12-hour shifts on Christmas. There's a lot of people out there that aren't millionaire football players that don't get to be around family for that time. And I don't feel bad for them. I was only making $22 an hour back then. Hopefully they start getting paid more. It has been 10 years, but I'll digress on that. But yeah, like there's many people, any first responder, and like you mentioned, the beat writers. I know it kind of sucks for them because they're not making the millions that the players are. But I saw a few Lions players on X post their uh, displeasure with it. And long story short, like you said, I just want to say, suck it up. I'm like, it's a $1 billion business. You're making buku bucks. And in terms of the beat writers that don't want to go, as much as I love my family, I will love to take your spot. So if you guys don't want to make the trip out there, there are people that will. And I think the two of us will be more than happy to go over there and cover that game. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I can just celebrate on the 26th with my family. And, I don't have any kids. So it won't make the world's biggest difference. But the people covering the team and the people playing on the team have a job that either pays them insanely well or is a job that's highly coveted by other people that are willing to do it. So with that, I will just leave it there.
Yeah, and that's a great point because that was my exact thought process because I saw beat writers complaining on Twitter about it. And, it's just one of those things where it's like, I'll fucking swap, dude. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't even, you can keep the pay even. Just fly me out or I'll take your flight, whatever the fuck. I don't know how that works with these guys because they work for a company. So I'm sure the company provides all that shit. So it's like, keep your paycheck, bro. Just give me the pass and I'll go. It's not going to happen because we all know why. But
Yeah.
even if it could happen, I don't think they'd do that. So let's just say that. And then last thing, last but not least, to try to kind of wrap this show up, we're gonna talk a little bit about the lottery because we mentioned it before with the NBA. Now, to keep this brief, the NBA lottery is a fucking it's bullshit. It is not rigged. I'm not going to say it's rigged, but the fact that they use the first 14 picks is fucking crazy, okay? The fact that it is not the weights are all off in my opinion. It ruins the whole fucking thing, okay? Now, we've heard a lot about the NFL becoming or going to a draft lottery scenario. First of all, don't do that dumb shit, okay? Because no, that's just not smart. I don't think it makes any fucking sense, especially for a team as physical as football. We don't see tanking in the NFL. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen it where I go, seems like this team's trying to lose. You know what I mean? Or like they're playing guys they shouldn't be. In the NBA, that happens where guys take rest days and all that dumb shit. So it's like, I get it in the NBA. In the NFL, don't do it. However, if you do, I got an idea. Okay? So, to keep this kind of brief, I believe that this is really the only way to make it make sense in the NFL. And I mean, comment below if you disagree or agree and tell me why, because I mean, I thought this all out for about 15 minutes at work today. So it's not like the most thought out fucking plan of all time, but I do think it works. Okay. So I think this is the only way. It's the top 5 picks only, nothing else. Even I would even say top 4. The only reason I say top 5 is because we all know those top 5 picks in the NFL, they seem to have the most value, right? Top 10, like from 5 to 10, it goes down a little bit. So what I would do is every team has 20% chance to get the first overall pick, okay? But then you choose the weight based on differential on top of it. So like each win more than the worst team is worth -1% on your odds, right? And then that just rolls over to the top team or whatever the case. Or it depending on how the discrepancy works out, it'll roll over to the next team. So, for example, let's say the top team's records are, you know, the worst 2 teams both have 3 wins. The third team has 4 wins. The fourth team has 5, and the fifth team has 6. Just to kind of make it easy, right? So, going from 5th pick to first pick in terms of odds, the 5th pick, right? They would have a 17% chance to get the number 1 pick because they won 3 more games than the worst teams, so they would be at -3% or 17% overall odds to get the first pick. The 4th team that has 5 wins would be at 18% because they're 2 wins over the worst teams, and then the 3rd team with 4 wins would be at 19% because they're only 1 point over, and then the first 2 teams would be sitting both at 23%. I personally believe that's the only way to do it because that way the worst team still has the best odds, right? But there's still some drama there because there's definitely potential that the 5th team could move up to the first spot. Now, would I love it if a 6-win team got the first overall pick over 2 3-win teams? No. And that's why I'm saying don't do this. Don't even do my idea because even that's fucking stupid, okay? It was the best thing I could think of, and it's still fucking stupid. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. All right? Leave the shit alone. Please, please leave it alone because we already went to 18 games. And they're talking about more games. I'm sorry, 18 weeks, not 18 games. They're talking about 18 games coming in. So I don't love that either. I mean, personally, that's another step that I think we don't need to take, but you know how it goes. Money talks, baby. So with that being said, that's really all I got. I just think it's a dumbass idea. But with that, I'll pass it over to you for your thoughts on the lottery.
Okay. I like your idea better than the other lottery systems. With that being said, I would give that a 2 out of 10 approval rating because I think any lottery is bullshit. And I do think, and I'm not going to go into specifics because I could probably have a whole hour long rant on this. I do think lotteries are rigged. I do think it is awfully suspicious that and I looked it up since I know my one of the last podcasts about the Wings draft lottery. I'm like, I don't know when the NHL went to a draft lottery. It was 1995, for those who don't know. And since 1995, the Red Wings have never once moved up in the draft, even one spot. Not from 13 to 12, anything since 95. But two different teams this year moved up 10 plus spots. And one of the teams that moved up 10 spots is now the first overall pick when they were the 10th worst team. And now they have the number one pick. That's just horseshit by any league. That's who the hell would want, and I know, like you said, your system was only top five, but assuming the NFL adopts a regular lottery system, can you imagine the team that has the 10th or even we saw how close most of the teams in the NFC North were. Can you imagine being just like two wins behind a divisional opponent, but picking because of a lottery if they make the playoffs? Actually, perfect example. I'm spitballing on the spot here. Let's say three of the NFC North teams make the playoffs, as we have been said. What if the one team that doesn't just catapults itself into the first overall pick? And even though they were only one or two games behind the rest of the division, now they have a pick that's 18 or so spots better because they won the lottery and not and the playoff teams are obviously not eligible for the lottery. So all of a sudden, a team that was just a hair worse than the rest of the division now has a significant advantage, not only with the first round pick, but every single round they'll have 18-ish spots with better picks for all seven rounds. And then in terms of lotteries in general, I want to give you a stat by Warren Sharp, who posted this. Most watched sports leagues average U.S. viewers per game. NFL, 9.2 million per game average viewers. The next highest is NBA at 711,000. Then NHL at 400,000, and then Major League Baseball at 380,000. So the average NFL game has 8 million more viewers than any other sports league, and you want the NFL to copy their model? If it was up to me, which it's clearly not, I would abolish all draft lotteries in all sports because not only, I mean, some of the ratings is obviously because football is, in my opinion, just a better sport, but the NFL has the model. It has what's working for it. And people are just, and I know it's about the money, but instead of milking the one cash cow that's the NFL, how about we try to raise up these other sports? And I just find it absolutely blasphemous that now it's the NFL as the only league that does not have a draft lottery. It should be, I don't think any team should have, or any league should have a lottery. And for what it's worth, because it has been a hot button topic, at least like I said on my X, people have been talking about it for a while, even national writers and stuff. I did post a poll question on my X. Feel free to go and vote on it. I made it a 7 day long uh, poll so that way I can get a large quantity of people, not just someone who might happen to be on my page just right now. There is 37 votes, and it is 92% no, the NFL should not have a draft lottery, and 8% yes. So the people that want it is vast minority. So with that being said, before I go on a longer rant than I already have, I'm just going to end it there. No one wants this. I don't want this. Stop it.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. I just, especially like the NBA and NHL lotteries, it's like, oh, if you don't make the playoffs, you get a chance at the number one pick. That's fucking stupid. Like, just plain, it's plain stupid. Like, I don't understand why they did that to begin with. It makes absolutely no sense. Now, real quick, I just thought of this, and this I think would even work better than what I thought originally. It's only the top three picks, right? It's weighted the same, so every win is -1% compared to the worst team, but then the rest of your picks just stay the same. Like it's only those first three picks. Like let's say you have the first pick, like originally, you would still have pick 32 or 33. Sorry. I think that's the best way to do it, and the only way to do it, especially in the NFL. Still, don't fucking do that shit, please and thank you. Like if that happens, I think it signals things are going to start going down. Honestly, I think that's going to be a nail in the coffin for pro sports, which I will talk about next time on the pod. But I have a theory that sports aren't going to be around for that much longer. At least professional sports that make billions of dollars. But we'll talk about that on the next one. With that being said, you know what to do. Link in the description. Fanatics, check it out. Buy your gear. Help us out. We would much appreciate it, and you will get good gear at a good price. I mean, what else can you? It's like everybody wins there. And then also try the world. I implore you to try it. I'm sure their things are amazing. They're just taking snacks from all around the world. It has to be an awesome idea or awesome thing going on, or awesome thing that they've got going on there. I would love to try some of their stuff on the air. I think that might be a good idea. So stay tuned.
I
We
had the
might do
same
that.
exact one I wanted to bring up to you.
Yeah, because I mean that would just make sense. But we'll see on that. It depends on where. I don't know where I'd really want to get the stuff from. But with that being said, we appreciate you guys for watching. As always, we are back next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. James Gullett at Gullett_James, myself at JSoSweet, and you can find us both at MI Sports Media and www.misportsmedia.com. And with that being said, we'll see you on the next one. All right.